Okay, we're getting our cross rail set up in the Kearney and Trecker mill. This is kind of how it'll look with our setup. I'm making a modification to our angle plate, and I'll show you what we're doing. So what we're going to be, the machining ops we're going to be doing here is we got to machine our split down this side right there. This is where it's through drilled and tapped so that this part can squeeze on the bar that goes down the middle of it there. So I'm going to pull it up to an angle plate, and I'm having to modify the angle plate so I can actually get it bolted down right here because the slots aren't in the right spot. But this will provide a nice strong flat surface. You know, we'll pull it up on this the surface there. We'll have a clamp, you know, a stud coming through to pull it up. So we'll be able to mill this here, mill our slot in the middle, and also deck this off right there so that we can then flip it over and mill the other side. So right now I'm set up in the do-all. This is the angle plate that I'm going to use, and I'm just adding a 5/8 hole for my 5/8 hole down stud so that I can utilize two of the slots in the middle right there. And get this drilled, and then we'll start getting her set up in the mill. With our additional hole right there, we're able to kind of put the studs in the middle, because if you try to come out here on these studs right there, the flange nuts just run into the webbing. So I'm going to use 3 studs using our 5/8 hold down hardware. We'll square it up with the machinist square here, and then we'll give it a check and see how close we got it. It should, usually you can get it within a couple of thousandths. That looks pretty good. I'll snug it down right there, and then for fun, we'll run an indicator across it and see how close we are. All right, let's see how close we are. Just going to zero that out on the fine adjust there. Wow. You see how close you can get it with a square? We got a little variance because the surface of the angle plate isn't perfectly flat across there. Let's go back across here and see. That's a little bit of movement in the indicator and stuff whenever you change directions. Getting some false readings, I guess. About two thousandths in. Yeah, it's about 2 thousandths. I'm going to leave it just where it's at, right there, because I don't think we're going to improve on it that much. Pretty good, right about there. I'm going to go ahead and snug it down. All right, here's our setup. We've got a couple parallels for this surface here. I've set up this planer gauge to kind of like act as a jack to hold it up where I want. I'm just going to sort of like line it up right in the middle of the slot right here in the back. We got a T-nut in the back right there that fits that slot there, and we're just going to put one of these clamps on the front. 5/8 flange nut there. So this will allow us to pull it up tight against this face on the back, but still give us clearance here, so when we come in here with our saw, we'll be able to, you know, clear the stud and the clamp and still be able to come in here and cut it. I'm going to put this Starrett little giant machinist jack right up underneath the center of it here and push up on it, kind of, not too much, but I want it to stay snug. And that should help with a little bit of vibration dampening there on the outer end. I would really like to put an angle plate here on the side, but the only way I would be able to hold it is to put a clamp around it like this, which is going to be right in the way of where I'm trying to do the saw. So we're just going to roll with this. I've got this you know, really tight, so it should be held up squarely and firmly against the angle plate. And now we've got this guy right here pushing up on it. So we're going to roll with that, and hopefully it's going to work pretty good for us. We're going to start by shaving the side of this ear off here. We've only got about a 1/16 to take off equally on each side right there. So we're going to do this first, and we're going to mill this off first as well. Or we'll do this first, this is second. That way the vertical milling is done, because I got to take the vertical head off and set up for the horizontal saw that we're going to use to split it. All right, so I was looking for an end mill that had a nice radius on the bottom of it, so we don't have like a sharp corner right here. And I finally found one. I knew I had one around here somewhere. That guy right there. That's a 2-inch end mill with a radius. I haven't measured the radius on the bottom, but that's what we want, so that we can come down here and side mill that and have like a radius profile right there at the bottom, make it look pretty good. All right, so I've already got my 2-inch end mill holder installed. I'm going to use my Kevlar glove so I don't split my hand open and handle that thing, because it's brand new. Use my saw flow. All right, we're ready to mill. All right, you can see I've got the depth established there, and I came in there and touched off to where it was just touching in the very center right here at the top. So we're going to take an equal amount. We're taking 40 thousandths off this side. We'll step it over our 2 3/16, and that'll take another 40 thousandths off that other side there. So we're ready to go. The thing did a nice smooth cut on there. It looks good. Nice rigid setup here. All right, we're going the other side. give it a check here with the calipers. When I dialed it over, I moved it over 4 inch 190. So if I can get the caliper squared up, so it looks like we're maybe about 5, 6, 7. So about 5 thousandths over. We'll just take a, I'll just climb cut that side to bring it down. I don't think that tolerance is very fussy though. You know, it's all fractional dimensions there. It's only 5 thousandths, so not a big deal. I'll just make a little spring cut, climb cut on the other side. Okay, so our next move is to deck this off right there, and like I said, we're going to be removing these casting letters that was put in there. I confirmed with Eric that these don't have to be in there. I don't know why they're right there, because this has to be machined anyway, and then our holes will end up going there as well. So measuring across this, we're at 4 7/8, and we need to be 4 1/2. So I'm going to take 3/16 off of each side. We'll do this side first, and then later on we'll actually bolt it down to this and then machine the other side. So I'm using a 3-inch roughing shell mill there. We're going to take it at one pass. All right, here we go. Move it across that way. All right, so we got this finished here. I went back across there just to try to even out that that machining finish on there. It's got a little bit more of a checkerboard look to it. But anyway, we got this side done. This is done. So we got to break this setup down and go with our horizontal. So we're going to get the machine set up. I'll bring you back, and then we'll do our split in here. For our saw split, I'm going to use this 3/16 slitting saw. The print actually calls for a 1/4 inch wide slot to be cut in there, but the 1/4 inch wide slitting saws I have, none of them are big enough to be able to reach the depth and then clear here, you know, because you got to take consideration your arbor spacers as well. So I think this one, I've been just kind of eyeballing it here. I think this one's just big enough to be able to clear the top here and get through the bore. So we're going to use this 3/16 right here. Okay, we got everything tightened up. I've got the arbor nut tight, and I've also established the depth here. Visually, we're just below the bore line of the part. So we're gonna touch off right here, and then I'll move to the center. I'm just gonna bring the part over until it just starts touching the saw blade. There we go, there's touch off. So our move over is going to be 1 3/16, 1.188 is what we're going to move it. That'll put us in the center, right there. All right, guys, here we go. We are running 44 RPM, right at 100 surface feet a minute, and we're going to try about 1.5 inch feed rate to start with, see how it does. Be a little unrigid there. Seems to be flexing a little bit on the stud. So now that we're through with this mill in here, I'm going to see if I can't do what I was talking about, maybe clamp an angle plate. Just something, we need something out here to support the outer end. So let me see what I can come up with. All right, we're going to give this another try. What I ended up doing is I put another machinist jack underneath this flange nut right here, and I've got both of these jacks snugged up to where they were snug. All right, then we got a heel, a gooseneck clamp on the nut, but we're supporting the nut with the jack here so that this clamp isn't actually pulling the stud down. And I'm hoping that this is going to give it enough rigidity to get the saw through there, because if we clamp this, you know, I got an angle plate and we could reach around here with a big C-clamp and clamp it, but the problem is, since we're splitting it, we're going to be like clamping onto the saw blade as it cuts through there, which is probably going to be catastrophic if I did it that way. So usually if you can get a little support on the outer end like this, it'll work. We might get some chatter, but as long as it's cutting, we're just going to roll with it. So let's give it a shot. Just going back into the cut now, it's just rubbing. I did slow it down to 37 RPM. Not quite 1 inch a minute. I had to back off the feed there. going to stop right there. I need to see where our cut's at. Yeah, we still got to come on down through there. We're probably going to have to come at least about halfway down this right here, so that we may even be further than that. I just need to make sure that our split goes all the way through the bore to this side here. All right, we made it that time. I went as far back as I could for the blade hit this section of the part, and what I did was I just manipulated it by hand and moved the table and then cranked the knee up, and was cutting the bottom of it, just making sure that I wasn't cutting into this as far as I could before the arbors were, start getting into these ears right there. So it goes through to right there. That's where the edge of the split is. So that should allow this to work just like it should. There's no actual formal dimension on the length of this. It just shows on the print the split, going from the end to about right there. So I'm happy with it. I'm glad that we got this done, because I was a little nervous after that first try. It started shaking around. But this toe clamp out here did the trick. Now that our slitting operation is done, I think my next approach is going to be to actually take it down from here. We're going to flip it over onto this face that we already machined, and we'll be able to clamp it there and then machine the opposite side. When we do that, we'll probably be able to come out here and maybe use the side mill and mill this face to the proper length there. This would be a good time to put the holes in there, because we got our through holes for our pins, but I don't want to use this machine for that. It's just it's a lot more difficult when you don't have a quill, a quick action quill like a Bridgeport type of mill. So this operation will be done over on the do-all. It'll be set up just like this. We're going to pull it up on the angle plate, and then I'll be able to accurately, find the center, drill it, ream them, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to get all this broke down and then set it back up on the table, and I'll bring you back whenever we get to that stage.